All right, what's going on, everybody? KB Card Stacks here. Been wanting to make this video for a really long time. I'm going to be running through the entire 2023 Bowman Chrome University checklist, talking about all of the guys who are returning for the 2024 season. Once they hit the NFL or graduate out of the checklist, I really don't care. So going to be talking about all the players returning, give you all my thoughts. This will be a longer video, but let's just get right to it. We got a lot of guys to talk about. So first one here, Josh Williams, running back for LSU. And this is a gamble that I don't actually mind at all. I just think that he's in line for the leading running back role. They've got to replace a lot of production with Jaden Daniels leaving. They've got a lot of question marks on offense, and I just think he's not going to be a huge 700-yard running back guy, but I think you can get a lot of his stuff for a pretty affordable price. I've been picking up some of his gold autos for anywhere from $10 to $20-ish. I think it's worth it. Trayshawn Ward, running back, Kansas State uniform, but now at Boston College. He was in line. He transferred from Florida State. Supposed to be the guy. J.D. Gins, I think is his name. He kind of took over the starting role. And Trayshawn Ward now at Boston College. So going to be a run-heavy offense out there with Thomas Castellanos. We'll see what their offense looks like with Bill O'Brien. But I don't necessarily love buying into guys who are transferred into another program and their uniforms and their Bowman card are of their old school. It just hurts the collectability side of it. You know, a Boston College collector isn't necessarily going to want a Kansas State card. Nonetheless, I do think for Trayshawn Ward, run-heavy offense, it's a decent gamble. They're not going to get a lot of publicity. He's not going to put up a ton of yards. Maybe he does. I don't know. Thomas Castellanos is going to be the leading rusher on that team. But I do like the Sage, I think it's Sage, next level on card autos. It's of him in a Florida State jersey, which is very similar to Boston College. So the shot there. Ja'Cory Brooks, now at Louisville, didn't really do a whole lot this last season. He was a 600-yard receiver when Bryce Young was the quarterback, though. I'm not a big Jalen Milroe guy, so who knows what happens with, you know, a more competent quarterback. I don't think Tyler Shough is quite at the much stronger quarterback than Jalen Milroe, but certainly worth a look, I guess. He's going to be super cheap. Louisville, I do expect to do pretty well, but they've lost a lot of guys in the portal that they picked up in the winter cycle, so that'll be interesting to watch. Trey Benson, Cardinals now. Riley Leonard, now at Notre Dame. He was projected a 2024 round one quarterback back in 2023. They opened up the season against Clemson, and they won that game. Clemson, a lot of brand appeal. I think they were like top 15. He was kind of getting that hype. He could be a first-round sleeper. Got injured. I think it was his leg for most of the year. I don't know, just kind of injury prone. I think he had a procedure done in the winter. He was held out for like winter activities, but ready to go for spring. Not my favorite guy. If he's in the newest checklist for 2024 Bowman, I'm probably not going after him. But if you want to gamble on a quarterback, he's kind of mobile, you know, go for it. Connor Colby, O-line. I don't think he's back, but O-line, we're not going to bother. Brian Thomas gone. Dalen Everett, he's a very highly recruited guy. I think he was number 20 in the country in his class out of IMG Academy. I think he's kind of regressed each year. He's, you know, in line for a role, but just not someone I'm really buying, but very highly ranked. A.D. Mitchell gone. Elijah Badger. This will be interesting. He hit the portal. I was shocked that he hit the portal, to be honest, for him staying as long as he did at Arizona State. I think 800, 700 yards in each of the last two seasons. He has been hurt a little bit, which obviously has impacted his stock, but in the portal, he took a visit to Arizona, and I think he's coming up on Florida. I would be thrilled if he signs with Arizona. They desperately need another wide receiver to pair with Tetrell McMillan. Florida, I'm not a huge fan of Graham Mertz, and I mean, Eugene Wilson's great. I love Montrell Johnson, but I don't like their outlook. I think that'd be a great pickup. I've been buying some of his gold autos and things like that for about 10 to 15. I don't hate it. Tavion Robinson gone. Tyler Van Dyke, he's an interesting one. He was in Bowman 2021, the first year Bowman. I don't know. We'll see what happens with him, I guess. I'm not super optimistic. He was another first-round hype guy, and likely because of his size. He's like 6'5", 240, rocket arm. Scouts seem to love it. Now at Wisconsin, offense under Phil Longo. We'll see what happens. I'm not a huge believer in their offense. They do have some young receivers who are coming in, but or coming back. But for me, not really a huge play I'd be willing to make. My play, if I am going to buy, though, Bowman first out of 2021, just a unlicensed product there. Talon Green, an interesting one here. Played a little bit at Boise State. There's a lot of controversy. They fired their coach and they went on a run. He ended up going to Arkansas. Great athlete. I think he can do really well, but I think Arkansas is in line to be one of the worst teams in the SEC. I don't love what they've done in the transfer portal. They kind of got some pieces here and there. They got Utah's running back in the portal who looks really good. Johnson, I think, is his last name. We'll talk about him with Rashad Dubinion, but Talon Green, good upside. Again, transfer jerseys kind of hurt, and I don't expect Arkansas to do well, but I think he is going to be someone to watch. I could see him transferring after a season, getting into a bigger program after this. Chris Vizina, Clemson. So he was a 4-star kid, I think from Alabama, and ended up at Clemson, redshirted immediately, has looked awful the last 2 springs, last 2 off seasons. He was a guy previously where I'll pick up his autos here and there, $5, $10 for a refractor auto. I'll store it in a box. Clemson does not use the transfer portal. But now it seems like they've got a walk-on quarterback who is probably further ahead than him. So I'm kind of out. I'm selling everything. I just don't trust it. Go transfer and be great somewhere else. I don't necessarily see it. Shedeur Sanders, a lot of drama recently in this offseason with just all their social media nonsense. I think he's the most electrifying athlete that we'll see this year. Just very, very talented. I don't know what his, leadership or lack of leadership will end up hurting in his draft stock. I expect Colorado to win 6 games. Their over's at 5.5. It jumped up from 4.5. They've upgraded at every position. Very fun player to watch. Takes a lot of sacks, but very pricey as well. So kind of a gamble, I would say. I'm not sure he's the number 1 pick right now. It depends on how they do, but he's certainly up there. Weak quarterback class, so I imagine he goes top 3, top 4. To fall out of that would be very shocking. Rashad Dubinion. So talk about him a little bit up here. I'm shocked he hasn't hit the portal, to be honest, at this point. I don't know what exactly he is doing. Just sitting there at Arkansas. His running back coach just left for TCU, and I'm shocked that he didn't follow him. There was, I think, the 3rd string running back. He left, and I think he's going to end up at TCU. But Rashad Dubinion, he got jumped by this Utah running back, so I'm passing on him. Doesn't have any autos either. I'll always take a chance on a gold auto of someone if I can get it under 20, which typically you can. There's not many players. If you could search all these guys in the list, typically there's going to be a gold auto that was sold for less than $20 on these guys. Next one here, Jason Marshall. So if you looked at way too early 2024 mock drafts back in 2023 after that draft, he was probably in the first round in a lot of these mocks, fell out, had a horrible season, picked it up towards the end of the year. I don't hate it. Just if you want to take a gamble, his orange, his gold. I like green for the Gator color match. Those are you can get a pretty solid auto for about $10. So defensive player taking a gamble, but could jump up boards. I don't know. Monterey Baldwin, one of my favorite guys in the checklist just because of his speed. I'm not a big Baylor guy. I believe that Dave Aranda is not making it out of the season. Super fast guy. I think he's recorded 3 of the top 10 fastest times over the last 2 years. He's going to stretch the field. I do like DeQuan Finn coming over, but for me, just I'll buy the gold autos, take a chance, and maybe he makes a move. I think him and Richard Reese, I think, also returns kicks. I think both of them kind of split. Jarquez Hunter, one of the more underappreciated running backs in the product, I would say. I think a 900-yard rusher last season, but Auburn, along with Arkansas and probably Mississippi State, probably going to be 3 of the worst SEC teams next year. I'd even put Vanderbilt above them. Vandy might only win 3 games, but I think they're going to be way more competitive. Not a huge believer in Auburn, but his Sapphire autos, if you want a cheap running back, I think you can get that for maybe $10. I wouldn't be surprised if auctions win at $4.99, 99 cents, $4 shipping. Cam Camper, Indiana here. Now at Boise State, he was a JUCO guy from Texas, went to JUCO, maybe Trinity or something. And then I don't think he's finished either of his 2 seasons at Indiana healthy. I think he tore his ACL and then had some other procedure. Now at Boise State, that'll be interesting to watch. They've got Ashton Jeanty at running back, Malachi Nelson. I think they've picked up another, couple other guys, but he's super cheap. I don't know if he has sapphire autos. Yes, he does, because I have the orange. Worth a shot. I don't know. Maybe he's an 800-yard receiver. Who knows? Johnny Wilson, NFL. Ty Simpson, he's an interesting guy. I loved him since last year's product. His first auto is in 2022. Kid from Tennessee, low-level football from Martin. I don't remember what high school, but looks like a Johnny Manziel type guy, super elusive, can make plays happen on the fly. I do like Ty Simpson, whether that's at Alabama or whether he transfers to another school. I'm honestly shocked that he's still there, but I think Jalen Milroe, I don't think he's going to have a very long leash. They've got Longren and I think Austin Mack from UW when DeBoer came over. So we'll see where he lines up on that depth chart. And I'm not a huge Jalen Milroe guy. I think he's got a shot, but I believe in him, whether it's at Alabama or not. I scoop up his autos all the time. Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, disappointing last year. I think he had a hamstring injury for most of the year. 1,300-yard rusher the year before that. Now at South Carolina, who's kind of upgraded their team. They've done a lot of work. Lenora Sellers at quarterback. They've got a lot of wide receivers. It'll be interesting to watch and see what they do. Could be one of the better half running backs. I'm not sure. The injury kind of concerns me, and this running back class is loaded, so it's hard to tell. Jafari Harvey, edge, linebacker guy. He's at SMU. One of their coaches, I think, went to SMU, and he followed him. I'm not buying him. Alton McCaskill in the portal right now, was AAC Freshman of the Year at Houston, like 900 yards, 16 touchdowns, tore his ACL, and then missed basically all of the season. And then I think he basically redshirted this last year, wasn't super fully healthy. They didn't run the ball a whole lot. Dylan Edwards was leading rusher with like 400 yards. So I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. I'm interested to watch. There's definitely one that I'm watching for. He's got Sage autos, which I'd rather have just being unlicensed. So take that for what it is. His Photoshop and his jersey of his Bowman card drives me up a wall. So that's that. Robbie Ashford, Auburn, quarterback now at South Carolina. They just named Lenora Sellers starting quarterback, to no one's surprise. Robbie Ashford is not good. He should probably switch to wide receiver. Cool color matches. He's a good athlete, but not a quarterback. Antonio Williams, Clemson. He's a local kid to Clemson, 4-star guy. Injured a lot, and just that offense has just been not prolific by any means over the last few years. So hard for him to get a lot of touches. Cool orange autos, somewhat affordable, I would say. Kind of a gamble, but take a shot. If this were 2 years ago, he would be one of the most highly chased guys, I'm sure, between like Devy and like fantasy football, dynasty leagues and all of that. So interesting to watch. Cohen gone, Delora gone. Hemby kind of a down year, had like an 800-yard season and kind of dropped down again this year. I'm interested to watch. I think he's going to be the lead back. They've got I don't know if they're going to roll with MJ Morris, the transfer from NC State, but his stuff is pretty cheap. Got some sapphire autos, worth a flyer, I guess. Starting running back, so something to look for. Cade Klubnik, Clemson quarterback, the 5-star child from 2 years ago out of the class. I'm curious to see what they do this upcoming season. Garrett Riley was their offense coordinator last year. He was supposed to be like the prodigy child. He was the mastermind behind the TCU national championship team or championship game team, I should say. Still kind of the same sputtering offense. We'll see what they do in year 2. Again, not a lot of transfer portal guys coming in. I think they've signed like 3 guys since the portal existed in like 8 years. It's very gross. Phil Maffa, the running back, we'll talk about it, but Cade, I'm kind of out on. They played Georgia week 1. If they beat Georgia, his prices are going to skyrocket, but I don't see that happening. It's tough to tell. I could see him staying another year and finishing out his eligibility at Clemson, or they're like, hey, you know what? It's time to move on. And he'll go somewhere else and, find a 1-year starter role. Corey Kiner, Cincinnati, kind of an underrated running back, hit a 900-yard season. I'm just not a believer in Cincinnati. He doesn't have any autos. Again, if he had autos, I'd stash a gold auto and just see what happens. But kind of tough. From LSU, transferred in. I think he's from Louisiana, then LSU, then went to Cincinnati. Nate Wiggins gone. Travis Hunter. I hope his stock isn't just hurt from all this nonsense with Colorado and just everything on social media. Terrific athlete, two ways. I see him mocked as a corner in every single mock draft that you'll find. I imagine he's probably better as a wide receiver, though. Corner, he's gotten exposed by a lot of games or by a lot of teams, and I don't understand why we are still on this corner situation. But wide receiver, I think he's got that athleticism. Of course, he's got the twitch for corner. That's probably just something that scouts just want to see, I guess. Drew Pine, I'm selling my house. All the proceeds are going to Drew Pine at Missouri now. Emmanuel Henderson. I get him and all the other Bama wide receivers mixed up. Once we hit the other ones, then I'll understand a little bit more. But I think he is at Florida State. Didn't do much. I don't expect him to do much at Florida State. Florida State, I think, is going to have the downfall of TCU a year ago. TCU will be comparable to UW. They lost everybody, and then Florida State as well. You just lost too many guys to the draft. He's going to start. I'm sure he'll get 400 yards or so, but nothing crazy. Mason Taylor, one of my favorite buys in the product. I've bought him consistently. I was somewhat familiar with him because his younger, or maybe his twin, I don't know, his brother, Isaiah Taylor, signed with Arizona. They came from Heritage, I think, or Florida. I forgot what high school, but he's been at LSU, couple hundred yards, couple touchdowns. They're going to have to replace a lot of production. They've got Kyron Lacey, should be a great option. They've got CJ Daniels. I think it's CJ Daniels from Liberty. They got Chris Hilton, who we'll talk about in a little bit. I like Mason Taylor. I've been buying a ton of his stuff lately. I think he's one of the better top 10 tight ends in the country. Evan Moorhead, awful quarterback. He's in the portal. He's been in the portal since December. He'll post videos of his workout, him and like his trainers. He's not going anywhere. Harold Perkins, one of my favorite guys in the product, but don't love that they moved him to inside backer. They said he was a liability on the edge. Teams were attacking him on the edge and just going right at him on the run. Now you put him at middle linebacker. They don't have Mekhi Wingo. They don't have Mason Smith. And then the other guy, he got drafted in the fourth, I think also by Jacksonville. So they lost three of their top defensive linemen, and now you're putting him in the middle. A lot of run gap responsibilities. I don't love it. But I love Harold Perkins. I think he'll be a top 10 pick. But he could also fall completely out and be like one of those guys that just like, man, his stock completely tanked. If he could have left after his freshman year, he would have been a top 10 pick and, slowly declines after that. I could totally see that. Donovan Edwards, Michigan fans love him. They say he is a top 10 running back in the country. I don't see it. That's not for me. He has the opportunity to be top 10, but he's not top 10 right now. They're going to rely heavy on the run game. They don't have a quarterback. That's going to be something to watch out for. Heavy on defense, run game. We'll see what happens. Keon Keeley. So this is an interesting one. He had shoulder surgery before he even stepped foot on campus. And with that, just hasn't really seen the field, is not really in the rotation. I've seen him on like the 3 deep. He'll be interesting to watch. I was buying into him because of the Saban edge rushers. They've always got somebody in the mix, right? Now with DeBoer, I don't know. Braylon Trice arguably got worse as the season went on, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I don't know if their defense coordinator came with them, whatever the case may be, but he does not look like he's in line for snaps this year, but something to look out for. Super young guy. I think he was probably the highest ranked guy in the entire checklist if you look at 247 rankings. Carson Beck, people are saying he's the number 1 quarterback. I get it. Very weak class. I'd be curious to see what his evaluation would be like. Every year they're going to be like, oh, if they were in this class, he'd be the number 1 pick, right? I'd be curious if, to hear an honest scout's evaluation there. It's going to be interesting, though. They've got to replace Brock Bowers. That was the offense for the last 2 years. I was never a huge Ladd McConkey guy. I know he just got a lot of hype with workouts and the combine and everything. If he's such a fantastic first-round receiver, they're going to have a hard time replacing him. They've got Dominic Lovett. They added Ben Urosik, one of my favorite guys in the product, 2022 Chrome. They've got, I think, Ra Bell, or a couple transfers, a kid from Miami. It'll be interesting to watch, but we'll see. Malik Benson. So this is the guy. He was JUCO, number 1 receiver or player in the country out of like Hutch. Didn't do anything. I think he's still at Bama. He's going to be watching the games on the sideline. Jacob Cowing, NFL. Roydell, also at Florida State. They've got to replace Trey Benson, I guess. Good luck. A couple hundred yards. I'm not really buying. Caleb Downs, people are saying he's the #1 pick for 2026, generational safety. I mean, he was that guy coming out of high school. He was anointed like, hey, this guy is the truth. If there's ever been, a messiah at safety coming in from the high school ranks, it is him. Now at Ohio State. Be interesting if he gets added in the checklist with the Ohio State jersey. His stuff is very expensive. Bowers, Turner, out. Jaden Ott, one of my favorite players checklist. I found out about him when he was a freshman. He cooked Arizona probably for 200 yards in like the first Pac-12 game of the season. Very good running back. Maurice Jones-Drew vibes to him. I like him. I don't know. Cal should be decent this year. I think they did a really good job in the portal. Now in the ACC, I don't know. They're going to be competitive. Teams heading out for a road game. That's going to be a tough road game. Not a lot of fans, but just a lot of travel, I guess. Probably even harder for them to go east, I guess. I don't know if it's easier to go east or west. Probably harder to go east. Kobe Prentice. So I'm not a big Jalen Milroe guy, but I'm buying Kobe Prentice because I hate Jalen Milroe so much. I don't think he's a good quarterback at all. Just everything he had. If he doesn't beat Auburn, I think it's a completely different situation. Of course, obviously not in the college football playoffs, but if it doesn't make that 4th and 33, I think there's a lot of questions that are being asked. So thank God he completed that pass, or his receiver came down with it. Kobe Prentice, I don't know. They've got a 5-star kid. They've got a kid that they got from UW. I don't remember his name. It is what it is. I'm buying his stuff is super cheap. I got a Sapphire Auto for like $10. But Kuba now at Texas, Johnny Nansen, their DC now. Be interesting to see how they recover. They lost a lot of talent to the draft as well. I'm sure they're restocking. I like Makuba. He was a first rounder for most of the season, and then I think he's kind of dropped a little bit. We'll see. Malachi Starks, probably the best safety in the 2025 class. Really talented. People are saying he's super complete safety. Georgia should be the #1 team. So it is what it is. Smile Mondin, I'm curious to see what he does. This has been 2 years, 2024 and 2025. Going to be 2 very weak classes when it comes to the linebacker position. So I can see him climbing the charts. It's not going to push him into the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round, probably 3rd round, but just not super highly sought after, I guess. Devin Neal, a guy that I love. I love Devin Neal. High 4-star, mid 4-star kid, has increased production every single year that he's been there at Kansas. Local guy. I like Devin Neal. I like Kansas, the offense, everything they've got going. Lance has got that team rolling. Big 12 is going to be interesting to watch. A lot of top-heavy teams there. OK State, Utah, Kansas State, Arizona, West Virginia. That's 6 teams. Someone's got to lose in that conference, though, but we'll see. Shaz Preston, highly ranked kid out of Alabama, now at Tulane. Didn't really see the field. I think this is his 2nd year now. He's at Tulane. I'm not a big Tulane guy. Their quarterback is Ty Thompson. He's from Phoenix. I thought he was grossly overrated from Mesquite. Low-level football back then. It was 4A. He started the push for Mesquite, and they got to like 5A, and maybe they're 6A now at this point. But just dominated a low level of football. Went to Oregon. I'm not big on Oregon and their recruiting in Phoenix. They don't seem to hit anybody, or nobody sticks, and I'm not a big Oregon. If Oregon's in your top 2, I'm like, are you going just for the swag and my dream school? I question it. So Shaz Preston, we'll see. They added somebody else as well in the portal, someone on offense. I don't remember, but something to look out for. Verse gone, Caleb Johnson, a kid from Ohio. He had a good freshman year, down 2nd year. We'll see what happens in year 3. Cam Kinchin's in New York. Eli Holstein, kind of another Tyler Van Dyke situation. Huge arm. I think he's local to Alabama. I don't recall. 6'5", 230. Now at Pitt. I don't think he beats Nate Yarnell. I think he very well could. I think he very well could win the starting job, but I think one of those guys, hey, if you want to take a chance on a rocket arm, the Josh Allen type, go ahead, buy some stuff. Dominic Lovett, he had probably the best spring out of anyone at Georgia. Great spring game. I picked up a lot of his stuff, just super cheap. I bought it just on the wave of like, hey, they've got to replace McConkey. They've got to replace not Jurasik, Bowers. What gives, right? So they added Landon Humphreys from Vandy, who was like one of the top receivers in the portal. He wasn't even the best receiver at Vanderbilt. That was someone else who we'll get to in the checklist. They've added some guys, right? But Dominic Levitt, I guess, second year continuity with Beck. That's why I was buying. Hunter Deckers, I don't even know if he's allowed to play college football anymore. He was part of that gambling ring at Iowa State. Tetrell McMillan, he will be the number one receiver in the draft next year. Miss me with all that Luther Burden nonsense. There is no receiver in the country with his size, 6'4", 210, his hands, yards after a catch, jump ball ability, ball skills, all of that. Number one receiver, easily. I think third or fourth in the country in receiving last year. I'm very high on Tetrell McMillan. He is injured right now. He had a minor procedure. They just kind of slipped that in a press conference. Minor procedure, and he'll be back for the season. Concerning. Jeremiah Hunter. I really liked him when the product was first released, but I just thought, hey, he's dead at Cal. There's no upside with him. Consistent 600-700 yard receiver. Hits the portal, goes to UW. Now with Will Rogers in 2022. Bowman, I think he's in 2023, so we'll talk about him. I kind of like it. In Jed Fish's offense, they're going to sling the rock. He's probably the best receiver. I know they've got some other guys, Audric Harris, a freshman, and they've probably picked up a couple guys in the portal. They've got to rebuild that offense. Jeremiah Hunter, probably one of their best offensive players, though, I would say, and they're most experienced. So I don't think has any autos, though, so kind of the downside. Donovan Ezeraku, one of my gambles. I just like picking him up. His gold autos for like $8 all the time. Best pro prospect on Boston College, sticking it out. I appreciate it. Big, long body off the edge. I like it. Miles Davis will be a backup running back for the rest of his time at BYU. Not buying. No autos either. Torrey Horton, one of the best receivers in the country. He will be a second-ish rounder, I imagine. 1,100 yards back-to-back. I think 8 touchdowns in both seasons. Who's their quarterback? Brendan Fowler-Nicolosi, I think. Freshman, started slinging it. So I'm a big Torrey Horton guy. Pick up all his gold sapphires. I really love it. These two guys gone. Juju McDowell, I haven't seen it. He might be gone. I don't know. Isaiah Williams, I think, went to Detroit. Walker Howard. Poor guy. Signed with LSU. Didn't win the competition. Got beat out by Jaden Daniels. A few other guys who I think have transferred out since. Went to Ole Miss. Maybe I'm off a year on Jaden Daniels, but went to Ole Miss behind Jackson Dart. He was like the heir apparent. And then they landed Spencer Sanders. I thought Spencer Sanders was going to be the guy. I did not believe in Jackson Dart. That offense sputtered a ton in 2022. And I was like, hey, Spencer Sanders, he was a dude at OK State. I believed in just kind of that grittiness. Kind of reminds me of Cam Rising a little bit. And then Jackson Dart decides to come back for another year. So he's going to be sitting the bench again. Not someone that I'm going to be stashing or buying. I don't, in my opinion, don't think it's worth holding until you know that he's going to be a starting quarterback, or if he transfers again, whatever. Who knows? Ole Miss murders the portal. They're going to bring someone in if they don't like Howard. Something to watch out for. Montreal Johnson, one of my favorite guys in the product. He was originally committed to Arizona. So I knew about him when he was in high school at LaSalle. And then he flipped to, I think Kevin Sumlin got fired, and then he flipped to Lafayette or Monroe. Lafayette, I think. And he was Sun Belt Freshman of the Year, parlayed that into Florida, and been splitting the running back room with ETN, 800 yards consistently over the last few years. I really like him. I don't love Florida this year. I don't think they win more than 4 games, but I love Montreal Johnson, the way that he plays, his running style, everything. Dane Key. Kentucky's interesting. I'm not a Brock Vandagriff fan. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the portal, and he's never started a game in his life. So Dane Key Kentucky has a lot of weapons, and that's why I don't like Dane Key in general. They've got him. They've got Ja'Cory Macklin. I think it's Ja'Cory, Jeremy Macklin's brother or cousin. He was at Mizzou and then went to North Texas. He was like a 1,000-yard receiver there. Now at Kentucky, and then they got Berrien Brown, should be one of the most electric players in the country. No one's going to eclipse over like 800 yards. Maybe Berrien, maybe Brown does, but otherwise, I'm not a huge believer in them. They're going to run the ball. They got the running back from Ohio State, Chip Trainum, I think, kid from ASU. I don't know. They got somebody. Maybe they picked up somebody else. I don't know, but I'm not a huge buyer. Whatever. Phil Maffa, big bowling ball of a back. He's not an every down back. He is definitely your grit and grind. We're going to wear down this defense and punch it in at the goal line. Turned it up when Will Shipley was hurt. I really like Phil Maffa. I believe in him. I think he's going to stuff the stat sheet, and people are going to see that. He's going to have his 142 yards and 3 touchdown games, and I think that's going to sell. Winston Wright, interesting cat. He got in a car accident, like broke his leg or something, and then he just quit on the team. He just left. Now he's at ECU last I saw, whatever. Richard Reese, really, really good freshman year. Go look at his freshman year stats, like 800 yards. And they brought in a running back from OK State and just kind of took over his role. He returns kicks with Monterey Baldwin, I believe, and that's about it. I'm shocked that he didn't hit the portal. He's a Texas kid. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm very shocked that he's still there. Blake Shapen, also from Baylor, now at Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State is going to be the worst SEC team in the country, or in the conference, of course, one of the worst in the country, Power 4 teams. They just don't have an identity after Mike Leach passed. Rest in peace. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm not buying. He could very well throw for 400 yards, but under Levy, first-year head coach, don't love that. Justice Haynes, he was a top 50 guy, bruiser running back, the next great Alabama running back. I could see him having a great year and jumping elsewhere, just like a lot of these Alabama guys seem to be doing early. I guess just Caleb Downs. It was Proctor as well, but he's back. Very, very good running back. He does have little odd tidbit. He doesn't have refractor autos. So his base autos are actually like $20. You could probably find them in any old sale for $5, and it's a $20 card all day. Doesn't have refractor autos. And now that I think about it, might not have green either. I have a couple golds though. Stashing. Jahad Campbell, outside linebacker for Bama. I've been buying him. Alabama defensive guy. Alabama's playing on, well, now not CBS, on ESPN. They're going to be playing those 4:00 games, national televised games. All eyes are on Bama. Maybe not anymore with Saban, with DeBoer. We'll see. I guess people are going to be watching him under a microscope now. So we'll see. But he's super cheap. I pick up orange autos, gold autos for $10, $15. Joseph Griffin, Jojo Go Get It on Twitter. One of my favorite running backs or wide receivers in the product, 4-star kid, 6'3", 180. He's local to Boston College and now in the portal. I'm itching to see where he goes. He's going to make any roster a lot better, any wide receiver room. I really like Joseph Griffin. Matthew Golden, it's interesting just to see 400 or 500-yard guy at Houston. Great kick returner. He'll be fantastic. He just transferred to Texas. Texas just has too many weapons, similar to last year. I mean, they've got to replace A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy, Jatavion Sanders, but they've got LaJonte Cook II. Who else do they get? Isaiah Bond, Silas Bolden from Oregon State. So they're loaded. So I'm curious to see what his role will be. I don't know, fourth receiver in the rotation, but great special teams guy. Pratt gone. Bo Collins injured all the time from St. John Bosco, I think St. John Bosco. Clemson now at Notre Dame with Riley Leonard. So that'll be interesting to watch. I buy a couple of his things here and there. He's another guy, him and Antonio Williams. Like when they probably signed on National Signing Day, they were like, wow, we are set at receiver for years to come. The best receiver combo in the country. Michael Williams here, edge guy, big defensive line. It's weird. Some people will have him as a first-round pick in 2025 mock. Some don't even have him at all. And when I say first-round picks, like top 10, and some don't even have him. So I don't know how to evaluate him. I don't know what's real and what's not, but something to look out for. Oscar Delp, one of the most overrated guys in the product. I think it's just the inflation of, Brock Bowers is very good at tight ends. Oscar Delp must be very good. He's the next guy up. They got Ben Yurosek for a reason, I imagine. So Ben Yurosek's going to be the guy. Oscar Delp, don't waste your money, in my opinion. And Will Howard, going to be similar to Michigan. Kansas State has a ton of actually pretty solid quarterbacks in history, and he's like one of the most productive or decorated in K-State history. So that'll be interesting. But they're going to rely on the run game. They've got a ton of receivers too, which is going to make it easy. And then they bought an entirely sound defense. No one is touching that defense. I say bought Caleb Downs, but they've got JT, Jack Sawyer, Tyleek Williams, Denzel Burke. I don't know if Lathan Ransom plays. He's from Tucson. I don't know, but solid defense. He's going to be in position to win. Dante Smith gone. Chris Hilton Jr., we talked about him with Kyron Lacey and CJ Daniels. I don't know. Someone's got to hit that third receiver spot. Could it be Chris Hilton? If he had autos, I would definitely be buying. He does not. I stick with Sapphire Golds. Kendall Milton went undrafted. KJ Jefferson, UCF now. Dual threat, big guy, probably like 6'4", 260. Like he's up there in weight. just had like a driving citation or something that he was in Fayetteville for the other week. But they're going to be interesting. I mean, they've got run game, they've got RJ Harvey, they've got Penny Boone. Their transfer portal has left a lot to be desired. They're just getting scraps. I don't know how they're getting kids to sign there. Something to watch out for. Garcia, he's been at about 7 different schools in 7 years. I think he started at Narbonne in California, then went to La Habra. And then 2020, California canceled their season. He went to Valdosta. There's Titletown USA, I think it's called, on Netflix, which kind of documents his journey. He was committed to USC. He was a golden boy, prodigy. And then he was ineligible at Valdosta. And then his parents legally separated in order to allow him to play. So he transferred to another school and then signed with Miami, was there for a year, signed with Missouri, was there for a year, now at ECU. So invest. Kyle McCord now at Syracuse. I don't know how to gauge this. This will be interesting. Very easy schedule for Syracuse, but not someone I'm buying into. I don't believe in Ron Gadsden, and I don't know what else they really have in the cupboard there. Jackson Arnold, midseason, when the product came out, one of the top 3 priced guys, and I did not, you're buying into recruiting hype and stars. That's just not what I buy into. I buy into production. So I was very satisfied after the Oklahoma Arizona bowl game. I think he had 4 turnovers. He should have been credited with 5. Now I don't know. I don't care anymore because his prices have kind of come back down to earth. Freshman, he's in the Heisman contention odds betting if you want to do that. I'm curious to see what Oklahoma does this season. Another guy who was overhyped, Brandon Inniss, 5-star kid, had 1 catch for like 47 yards against Akron. It was a touchdown, but not for me. Too many guys in the receiver room, and he was just super overhyped. $20 for a base auto. Base auto should be around $5 to $10, maybe $13 for a better guy. So for like 80% of the product. Not for me, just all hype. Jurion Dickey, number 1 receiver in the country, and I think a far better investment than Brandon Inniss. Jurion Dickey out of Menlo High School as Troy Franklin. And with Jurion Dickey, 5-star kid, he tore his meniscus his senior year. He was basically out for all of freshman year. Came back for the bowl game, and he's like, I'm finally 100% healthy. Had a great spring. We'll see what happens. I think he's either banged up or I saw someone, there's a meme going on or I don't know. But they're like, oh, you should ask Jurion Dickey to go fishing. And I think they're questioning his passion. I don't know. All these guys are gone. Julian Fleming, really disappointing at Ohio State. He was injured. Now going back home to Penn State. Nothing to write home about. These guys are all gone. Drew Allar, again, with these big quarterbacks, 6'5", 240. Not for me. Very inaccurate, in my opinion. He protects the ball. He makes very low risk throws. He's probably had like 25 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. But I could see him, because of his size, sneaking into a pretty high draft pick. I don't believe it though. Nick Singleton, fantastic freshman year, down sophomore year. Katron Allen, I would argue, is better than him, who has Leaf autos. We'll see what happens. He was anointed like the next Saquon Barkley when he stepped foot on campus. And I mean, after his freshman year, he looked pretty good, but not for me. His stuff is pretty cheap though now, so worth a shot, I guess. I do buy from time to time. Mika Ibuka, awesome receiver. He was hurt a lot of last year too. That gives me hesitation going into this year. I could see him just kind of lingering again. Very, very pricey, but people say he's the number 3 receiver in the draft. I would argue Torrey Horton is probably going to be better, but that's just me. AJ Swan, he transferred to LSU, and people were like, oh man, he's going to be the starter. I was very firm from the start. He is not a starting quarterback. He was just hurt a lot. So, I mean, availability is everything at the quarterback position. I don't know what he does. Grant Nussmeier's probably there for the next few years at LSU, so whatever. Tyreek Chappell. Maybe it's him or Tony Grimes. Grimes kind of bounced around. Tyreek, I think he entered the portal and then came back. So he's probably the cheapest auto in the product, though. I don't know why. These guys are gone. Buckner, invest, similar to Drew Pine, invest immediately. Jalen Berger, bowling ball of a back. A lot of backs in Michigan State. New coach with Jonathan Smith. We'll see where he lands in terms of the pecking order there. These guys are all gone. Maccabee, walk-on kid, Tyrone Stacy, I think, was their starting running back. He's gone. He's in the NFL now. Maccabee could be in for increased workload. No autos, though. Unfortunate. Michael Trigg, one of the biggest recruiting misses of all time, I would say. Like, he was up there and signed with USC, didn't do anything. I think he was with Texas for like a hot second and then to Ole Miss, or he went back. I don't know. Kind of like, who's the guy at Tennessee who still has eligibility? Drew McCoy, kind of like a situation like that, I feel. Don't buy. Joel Farouk, I don't mind him. A lot of weapons with Oklahoma. Nick Anderson, they got Burks from Purdue. I'm probably missing another one. Gavin Sawchuk is the truth at running back, a true freshman. I don't mind it. His stuff is very cheap. Gone. Brady Cook, one of the top quarterbacks, I will say probably number 4. People will say Jalen Milroe in the SEC. I think it's Brady Cook. Their O-line is a concern, apparently. That's what I've been reading lately. And they've got Luther Burden, who's apparently the truth. So someone's got to throw him the ball. Taj Brooks, one of my favorite running backs. I think he was top 5 in rushing with like 1,400 yards. Bowling ball of a back. He's going to have some big games. They rely on him. I don't know what Texas Tech's quarterback situation is. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the Big 12, I imagine. They hit the portal. They went budget on the portal. They signed just, I don't know. They signed just everyone FCS and below. That'll be interesting. Dante Moore, not a guy for me. Looks terrible. Not a guy. 5-star kid, now at Oregon, so he's going to be sitting a year. If you're going to invest in him, I would wait to see if he's going to be in the Oregon jersey in a new set. I don't know. Dallin Hayden could be running back 1 in Colorado. I think they might have picked somebody else up, but just didn't get a shot, which is unfortunate. Played a good amount, and then they had 4 or 5 good running backs in that room, so that was tough. Now in Ohio State's running back room, Quinshon Judkins, the best running back in the country. I was stunned when he was leaving Ole Miss. Apparently, character issues. I mean, everyone seemed to be dunking on him when he was leaving. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I'm not a Trayvon Henderson guy, so Judkins could be the guy. Barron, I believe, is gone. If he's not a starting quarterback. He's gone. LT Overton now at Bama. I think he's from Milton, Georgia. I don't know. Big interior guy. He was in early mocks as well. Nakia gone. I don't know if Ligber's still in. Don't necessarily care. He was a running back and a safety. Stanford, I don't know. Gone. Evan Stewart. If you look at mock drafts, he is in every 2025 mock draft as a first rounder. I don't see it. As a freshman, he got suspended. He missed curfew against Miami. Awesome. Injured, and then he just quit on the team. He didn't even make the trip for LSU, and everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to hit the portal, right? So hit the portal now at Oregon. I'd rather have Tez Johnson over him any second of the day. His prices are pretty pricey, especially for being a transfer in an A&M jersey. He's got Leaf stuff, probably more affordable and probably equally as high in upside. So it is what it is. Cameron Ward, I'm kind of buying back into Cameron Ward. One of my biggest offseason buys for 2023. Just the Pac-12, I really believe in those quarterbacks. I believed in Bo Nix, Cam Ward, Caleb Williams I was buying into. Who else was in there? Cam Rising, all these guys I was buying into. Cam Ward just hit. He's had success under 3 different offensive coordinators. He understands the game. Miami could be dangerous. They just picked up Damian Martinez. They picked up some receivers, the defensive lineman from Michigan State. They've absolutely destroyed the portal this spring. I could see them going undefeated, to be honest. Dorian Singer now started as a walk-on at Arizona. He's local to me, probably like a mile away from me in Phoenix. Walk-on at Arizona. I thought if Bowman University came out in 2022 and they had Jacob Cowing, Dorian Singer, and Tetrell McMillan, I would have invested Dorian Singer the most. Unbelievable talent. Went to USC and found out that everyone else is very talented. And he came out talking a lot of stuff. He was talking about how at USC, you're going up against some of the best every single day. And it's like, well, you're going up against Ephesian Cyrock and Takario Davis every day at Arizona, and Tetrell McMillan and Jacob Cowing. Nonetheless, at Utah, wish him the best, but it is what it is. Justice Ellison at Indiana, I imagine he's got another portal jump in him. He's not going to – they added like 5 running backs. He's not going to crack it. Tyreek Williams should be a first-rounder next year or early second. I do like him. Stuff is super cheap, but defensive lineman's not going to sell super well. Dylan Gabriel, I've been buying his 2021 Bowman first. Unlicensed, black jersey, could pass for Oregon vibes. I just don't think there's a lot of value in his second and third year cards with OU stuff on it. So my personal opinion. But he's my Heisman pick at plus 1,000, tremendous value. Danny Dennis Sutton, 5-star kid, didn't play a whole lot his freshman year, but was a ESPN All-American, I think, or freshman All-American. They produced a lot of guys. New defensive coordinator, I believe. They got Abdul Carter. They just had Chop Robinson and somebody else go. So he's got all the opportunity. Donovan Jackson should be a high-end O-line pick, but we're not going to buy him. Gone. CJ Donaldson was the running back, and now he's like tight end. He's a bowling ball of a guy. I do like West Virginia a lot. Running and throwing, they're going to be dangerous with Garrett Green. I just don't think he's going to have like the huge pop. But I will say Michigan and West Virginia, probably the two best fan bases to sell to. You'll look at like Nico Markiel, another Chandler kid, or he's from Colorado. Then he went to Chandler, Arizona. His stuff is super high for no reason. He's started like 2 games in his life. Will Johnson, he'll be a top 5 pick in the draft. People are saying Pat Surtain and some of the best corners in history along with him. These guys are gone. Mekhi Lemon, I think, honestly, is one of the best value buys. Maybe not right now because I've been talking about him a lot and buying up his floor. 5-star kid from what high school? I can see it. I'm blanking on his high school, but really, really electric athlete. Had a great bowl game against Louisville in the Holiday Bowl. I'm interested to see what they do. They've got Deuce Robinson. They've got Jacoby Lane from Phoenix, and they got Zachariah Branch. That's a lot of guys. They just landed somebody else. I don't know why this kid ended up at USC when you look at that wide receiver room, but it is what it is. Logan Diggs left. He's at Ole Miss now. Ole Miss, they're going to use Ulysses Bentley or whatever his name is. I'd be shocked if Logan Diggs has over 400 yards. Aron Gatson, been hurt, but the most successful Syracuse player in terms of pass catching in like history, but just been hurt a lot. I think he missed most of last season. So that sucks. Kyle Monangai, one of the sleepiest running backs in the country. I think Rutgers also kind of drives his price up. I think those fans are actually really solid in terms of purchasing power. He's going to carry them. I don't believe in Rutgers this year, but who's their quarterback? The kid from Minnesota that they just announced. He's good. No autos though. That sucks. These guys are gone. Ruben Owens, freshman kid. I'm curious to see if he's going to be the lead back. I don't know. Part of me says John Emery transfers in, follows as running back coach to A&M, but I do like Ruben Owens a lot. Looked good in the spring game. Just has all the opportunity in the world. They brought in Emmitt Smith's kid. I don't remember his first name, from Stanford. Good leadership guy. I'm probably not getting a ton of touches. Stover gone. Legis, been hurt a ton and just not healthy. He had the best game against Iowa. All 13 teams that played Iowa this year, statistically, he had the best game. It was week 1, so you're catching him, not in rhythm, but he hit the portal. So, which I expected, I guess. I figured that he would have a shot, but Bryson Barnes from Utah transferred down to Utah State, and I think the world of him. I think Spencer Petras has also hit the portal as well, so they've kind of lost all their backups. I'm not buying him no matter where he goes. These guys are all gone. Jam Griffin, what a ride. I think he started at Georgia Tech for like 2 years. Didn't start, but he started his career there, went to Oregon State, then went to Ole Miss, now back at Oregon State. And then Adrian Martinez leaves, and now he's the starting back again. So something to look for. Jalen Daniels, one of the most electric athletes in the country, missed 11 games last year with a back injury. I don't love that at all. So something to think about. Proceeding with caution. His prices were very high to begin with, and especially with that injury, I don't know, but could be worth a solid gamble. Antonio Gates Jr. hit the portal, then backed out. I'm curious to see. I think he needs to go somewhere else and get developed, but that's just me. Jacoby declared. Chandler Morris now at North Texas with who's their coach? Morris is also his last name, or maybe it's Chandler. One of the two. I always get them mixed up, but he's got all the opportunity in the world. Their head coach, who I'm blanking on, which is driving me up a wall right now, was the offense coordinator for Patrick Mahomes, coached Cameron Ward at Incarnate Word and Washington State, and then now at North Texas. So they've been putting up a lot of points and a lot of yards. Morris, Chandler Rogers was their quarterback last year. He's at Cal now. That'll be something to watch. Will Shepherd, I talked about this earlier, the best wide receiver at Vanderbilt, now at Colorado. I do like that move. No autos, though, so I buy his Sage unlicensed stuff. Donovan Smith, this will be interesting. Just a huge rocket arm. He's thick. He's 6'5", probably 250, can move. Houston has the coach Willie Fritz now. I think it's probably going to take a year he's lost a lot of kids out of the portal. I think he's kind of rebuilding that. Donovan Smith, though, if you want a quarterback, go for it. Will Rogers, we'll see what he does at Washington now. The offense kind of messed him up last year. It was not kind. He was slinging it under Mike Leach, rest in peace. And then who's the little promotion that they had internally was kind of like a run-heavy guy, kind of messed him up. They kind of finally opened it up. I'm curious to see how he does. He'll have the green light to throw it. Jaden Bray, now at West Virginia, didn't do a whole lot. I think his brother also went to OK State. West Virginia is loaded at receiver, so I'm curious. Kind of a wait and see, I guess. His stuff's super cheap. One of the cheapest in the product. Solomon Shields, very good defender, outside linebacker guy, good size, just not going to sell. Doesn't have autos. If he had autos, I would probably be going in equally as hard as I do for Ezraku. Gone. Mario Williams also at Tulane. That's also who they picked up. I was thinking they got someone else. Little speedster. He's quick, not fast. Started at Oklahoma, followed Lincoln Riley out to USC. Again, just didn't work out. A lot of talent out there. Taj Washington and all those guys, they just kind of spread the ball out. No one guy really got fed, I would say. And hit the portal out to Tulane. Good move. I think that'll get him the rock. Casey Thompson, been Texas, Nebraska, FAU, now at Oklahoma. He's from Oklahoma, so just kind of some home cooking there. He should have his doctorate's degree now. Victor Rosa, local kid, good running back. Nothing I'm going to invest in. I do have a true red, which is cool. Noah Whittington, running back, Oregon. He was hurt for most of last year, and people were like, wait till you see Noah Whittington with Jordan James next year. So we're going to wait and see. I don't know. We'll see. Their running back coach got hired away to Ohio State when Ohio State went to Michigan. We'll see. Ricky White, one of my favorite guys in the product, most productive. He is the #1 returning wide receiver in the country. I don't know what else to say. So I am investing heavily in Ricky White. I have a red auto. I sold his orange auto just because I had way too much of Ricky White. Whether it's Bowman best or his true first, I don't care. Woody Marks, Joquavius Marks, bowling ball of a back. He dominated Arizona when they played earlier this year. I really like him. Now at USC, he'll be the lead back. Transfer jersey, it is what it is. I do like Miller Moss. I like that system. I just don't know how much work he's going to get or what he's really going to do. Corey Foreman, one of the worst recruiting misses of all time. I think he was like the #1 player in the country at a Centennial. Probably has more stars than tackles to his name. He had a game-stealing interception against UCLA. That'll be what he's remembered for. Now up at Fresno State, he followed a couple of his teammates up there. Good for him. I wish him the best. Prices, like I would buy a gold auto, but I just can't get myself to spend like $15-20 on one. Jackson Dart, he's got all the weapons. Ole Miss goes after the portal. Could be one of the best. Could be a Heisman sleeper. That'll be something to watch out for. Jordan Whittington, gone. Damian Martinez, talked about him. One of my favorite running backs in the country. I thought he was undervalued. If he stayed at Oregon State, I was still buying him because I felt like he was going to dominate his schedule. We'll see what happens with Miami. He's going to have a lot of attention on him. Good for him. Going to be a good offense. Grant Wells, I think he's at Marshall now. I don't remember, but yeah, we're going to invest in him like we would Drew Pine and whoever else I said. Brandon Presley, one of my favorite guys in the product here, by far, just a very small receiver and just catches everything. I think over his last 5 games, he had like 48 catches and like 600 yards. Was a menace. Was averaging like 10, 12 catches a game and like 100 yards a game. Insane. I like OK State a lot next year. They bring back virtually everybody, their entire O-line. Ollie Gordon, of course. Something to look for. Brandon Presley, I really like him. His prices are disrespectful. You can get a refractor auto for under $5 shipped. Easy. Javonte Barnes, he got punked. I think he got hurt a little bit, but Gavin Sawchuk's the truth. I wouldn't touch Javonte Barnes at all. I don't think I've seeked out a single Javonte Barnes card. Brendan Sullivan in the portal, not someone I would really care for anyways. I mean, they won, 8 games last year, and where's prices now, Cam Rising, one of my favorite quarterbacks. If I could start any team right now, it is with Cam Rising, 100%. Someone in my Discord, I think, said he's like the Gardner Minshew of college. Young, little Tebow guy who's going to grit and grind, give you, everything he's got, and it's going to be awesome. So I love Cam Rising, buying his autos. You can buy his lowest stuff for about $10. So that'll be interesting. Utah's my pick for the Big 12. So that takes us to Austin Jones, who is gone, and Drake May, who is gone. So that is everyone in the Bowman University 2023 checklist. If you enjoyed this, if you stuck it all the way, I appreciate you. If you want me to do this for Bowman Best, there's a lot of crossover. I understand that for 2023. Bowman 2022 Chrome and like Inception and Best in 2021. We could probably all lump that together just because it's not as extensive as this. But if you enjoyed, if you want this, you want more of this, let me know. I'm happy to do so. I love the checklist. I love college football. I love cards. I love gambling. I don't think there's anyone on the planet who knows this checklist more than I do. So happy to share some knowledge here. So again, appreciate it if you made it this far. If you want more content, let me know. Happy to do so. And we'll see you next video. Peace.